What up, comedy film nerds fans and comic book fans and fantasy graphic novel fans? My name is Dan Wilkinson. I am chatting with Chris Mancini of Comedy Film Nerds, author, comedian, podcaster, father, and now graphic novelist. Thanks so much for catching up today, Chris.
Great to be here.
Indeed, great to be here at your house.
In the garage. Yes.
In the garage. In the bunker.
Yeah, it's a different angle.
Indeed.
So people get to see.
Indeed. Do people never get to see stuff in?
So every once in a while we do pictures, or we did a couple periscopes, and we're like, oh, so that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a magical place.
It keeps changing because we keep adding merchandise, so more shelves and stuff go up.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So yeah,
lots of goodies over there on the corner, peeps.
Never looks the same way twice. This garage.
So what we wanted to chat to you today about is Long Ago and Far Away,
yes.
which is the comic book, the graphic novel that you're writing with Fernando Pinto.
Fernando Pinto is the artist. Yep,
is the artist. So what is Long Ago and Far Away about? Tell our audience.
Absolutely. Well, Long Ago, Far Away is a graphic novel, and it's based on the story. I always thought, well, what would happen? You know, you always have kids going into this magical world like Narnia or Oz or Fantasia. There's a war, they save the world, then they come back home. Well, I thought, what happens when they grow up? And, you know, they're 30 and they have a dead-end job and they're kind of jerks. And then they have to go back into that world as an adult. Will they be the hero they once were, or will they just make things worse because now they're jaded, nerdy adults? So it was one of those projects that have been near and dear to my heart for like years. And it's been in and out of development in places. And I thought, you know what? This has to get out into the world. I have to get this story told.
Yeah, totally.
And graphic novels seemed to be the best way for sure. I was working with Mark Waid on it over at Throwbent, but it didn't work out. But Mark Waid is still supporting the project. He gave us a nice tweet and said, I wholeheartedly endorse this. Make sure you support it. And I've gotten some great support from the comic book community. Mark Guggenheim, who's the showrunner of Arrow, he was helping out too. Yep. He tweeted, and then Mark Allen Miller, who does Hellraiser, he's been really helpful. But mainly it's been the fans. The fans have been really supportive and helpful, and it's been great. We've got a big goal because we want to give you the whole story. It's the beginning, middle, and end. It's not a part one. This is it. This is the whole graphic novel. It's going to be at least 140 pages. So it's a big graphic novel, big story, and I want to give it to you all at once.
And it's you know, I've had a read of it myself. For context, for those who've never met me before, my name's Dan Wilkinson. I'm from Hot and Delicious Rockstar Planet. We have a podcast, photography, a bunch of other stuff which you can check out later. We just did a podcast together with Chris as the guest. I'm super excited. I actually I hadn't had a read of the book yet until today, and I had a read of the novel. Sorry, I had a read of it on the in the Uber on the way over here, and as a guy that I never really got into comic books as a kid, and it was more situational, I think, than my friendship group, but it's hilarious. Like, I was reading through it, and there was a couple of times I was chuckling in the Uber, and the Uber guy just looked at me, and I was like, yeah, don't mind me. But so, as a guy that grew up obviously reading comics, what are some of your favorite comic books right now, and some of your favorite writers,
I'll tell you,
writers right now?
You know, I grew up, probably been reading comics since I was like 8, and Spider-Man was always like my go-to book. That was the first one I read. I always would read Spider-Man. Love Spider-Man. Then I would slowly get into Daredevil, and I'll tell you, probably one of my favorite comic book creators has always been Frank Miller. Dark Knight Returns, and his run on Daredevil I found just to be amazing. Still kind of like the litmus test that everything gets compared to. Sure. And today I've been really enjoying, as you can see by the shirt, Mike Mignola.
I forgot to talk about Star Wars one. I had the Star Wars picture. I completely forgot to put it on. Oh well. Yeah,
big fan of Hellboy and all the stuff that he's doing over at Dark Horse, and there've been some really, I got into some cool indie ones, like there was one called Suicide Risk at Boom Studios, which I really enjoyed, and I've been rereading Sandman by Neil Gaiman, and also the spin-off by Mike Carey, Lucifer. I've been really enjoying, and you know, I always enjoyed Gru too, the comedy barbarian. I thought that was always fun and I always enjoyed that, and I always found too that like comic books, sometimes I think they're finally getting the respect that they deserve, because it's been years when they haven't. Like, oh, it's just superheroes, and it's not. Comic books can be literally anything you want. It can span action, comedy, horror, you know, superhero, whatever you want. There's a comic book there, or a graphic novel out there for. You know, my daughter's reading graphic novels that I never would have read as a kid. You know, about just, you know, coming of age graphic novels for preteen girls, and I'm like, okay, well, it's still a graphic novel. It's still, but so I love that there's just such a diversity now in the field that there didn't used to be with comics. You know, there was always like superheroes and then like weird underground stuff. So now there's literally everything's kind of expanding and exploding, and it's great. And I really wanted to get this story told. It's a fantasy comedy graphic novel. If you grew up with fairy tales, and if you grew up with any of those stories, I think you'll really like it. And if you also like jokes about, you know, superheroes and Zack Snyder, well, you'll also enjoy it. And but also I put themes in there too of like, as we're kids, you know, we have this sense of childhood wonder, but as we become jaded adults, we kind of lose that. And the theme is also, well, how do we regain it? And because that's still a part of us, is you know, our childhoods and how we used to look at the world.
And that's something that you and I, obviously, through our various podcasts and our jobs, we're lucky enough to have. And I think that's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest reasons that Chris and I do what we do, is we want to be able to give other people that, because all that joy and finding your own audience is there with comic books, and it's there with podcasts. It's a really lovely feeling to be able to give and just make someone's day. I think that's probably got to be the key thing about why we do what we do.
Definitely, as artists, whether you're writing, you're telling jokes on stage, it doesn't mean ultimately you want to touch someone's life and make their life just a little bit better. Even if it's just marginally, you made someone laugh, you made their day a little bit better. I remember I was just walking out of dropping my kids off from school, and one of the other parents, he was just kind of in a you know, in a funk. Some stuff was bothering him, and I just started making a joke about I think the wind or something like that. And he just it was just something quick, and he just looked at me and he laughed, and he was like, you know what, that made my morning. And then it's just like those kind of things where if you can, you know, make it a little bit better for someone, that's, as an artist, that's what we always
you can change their whole day.
So
I think that's a really good place to really wrap up and start talking about you know, how people can, what the incentives are. Just what a couple, without going into too much detail, what are a few of the incentives that people can get?
Well, one of the things with the Kickstarter is you always want to give value for everything. Like, it's not like, oh, please give me money so I can make this. No, we want to make sure we gave something for everyone. Even like a $5 pledge, you get like wallpaper for your device or your computer or whatever, and then you can $20 you get the whole digital.
You actually get the whole.
You get the whole thing for digitally, and then $30 it's printed in softcover and shipped to you, and then it goes
top tier prizes.
Then it gets crazy.
It's insane. Yeah. What are the two of the big ones?
Yeah, the two big ones are for if you're a Comedy Film Nerds fan, you can actually go see a movie with Graham and I. Then we'll record a spoiler app with you after that. Now those are limited tiers. They are going. One of them's already gone. But one of the questions we got was that, hey, can we push this off to 2017? And I'm thinking they have a movie in mind, and it's probably either Avatar or maybe one of the Transformers movies to make us suffer. But you know, whenever we see a bad movie, it does make for a good spoiler ep. So
you might want to, if you want the guys to be more receptive, it might be better to take them to a film that they want to see. And the other one,
and the other one is to also, in the spirit of giving back, is it's a high tier. It's $5,000. You get all the rewards, but Fernando and I, the artist, we will make your comic for you. So we'll make 10 pages. I'll write it. Fernando will draw it, ink it, color it, and letter it. So you'll have a final 10-page comic at the end. Because if you're, you know, like, I always wanted to do this comic, I don't know how to put it together, I don't know how to find an artist, we'll do it for you. You know, you're helping us, we're going to help you.
You guys can basically have something that you may have dreamed of your whole life done for you, and actually have a digital copy at the end of it, which then you can decide if you want to take it further or not. So if you'd like to find out more, guys, what I would suggest you do is, the best part about this is the first 10 pages of the graphic novel, Long Ago and Far Away, are actually online via the Kickstarter page. So if you head over to Kickstarter.com and look up Long Ago and Far Away, you can actually download the first 10 pages of the graphic novel to get a feel for how it is. And like I said, it's hilarious. Don't take my word for it. Just go and do it yourself.
Check it out. And then that was important. I really wanted people to be able to see it first before they pledged and get a taste of it and really enjoy the beginning of it.
And then there's four bonus pages on top of those 10 pages, which actually give a few snapshots of what else is happening through the story. And if you like it, then basically if you spend $20 or $30, you're gonna have a copy of it at the end of it. So you know, you're actually getting something for the money you put in. You know,
it's a pre-buy.
Pre-buy. It's an investment in something that you actually are going to enjoy. And And if you're a fan of Comedy Film Nerds and you can't afford the $20 at this point in time, then make sure you put at least $5 in. But I'd say $20 is a fairly good investment for what I've seen so far. Chris, thanks so much for joining us, mate. Thanks for the podcast. Make sure that you head on over to Kickstarter.com and look up Long Ago and Far Away. If you also want to head over and find out more about Chris, just head over to chrisjmancinionline.com and you can find all the information on Long Ago and Far Away and his Twitter account and much more. Cheers.
Thanks. All right. I can't imagine us getting more information than that in a shorter amount of time.
No, I cut out one of the questions. That actually went for talking